Welcome to the Main Event Podcast. Steve McCollum here. We have the original OG, Adam Michaels, filling in today for Jason. Adam, how you doing?
I am great, man. Glad to be back in the chair here. Kind of feels a little warm, but I'm ready to roll and get into the Main Event Podcast.
It shouldn't be that warm. Jason hasn't sat in it in a week.
Well, I do. I just mean it feels comfortable. Like it's back. It feels good to be back. Whenever you're an OG and you come back, you feel good about it.
Yep, Jason Carter, of course, the normal partner here, is out having fun doing other things this week. So he is going to call in for picks today. So we will get his college football and NFL picks here later on, along with Adam. But Adam, let's get into it. We are in Major League Baseball playoffs right now. The Nats wrapped up, the Nationals, let's be formal here, wrapped up their series against St. Louis. Man, St. Louis became a dud awfully quick for a team that was dominating there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, they scored, 10 runs in the 4 games total? And they shot their load. They shot their load when they clinched. So
against the Braves, they scored 10 in the first inning and then nothing after that.
It was kind of really sad representation of the NL Central, but it just tells you how fast your bats can go away from you, and that's where you are.
Do you think there's anything with them complaining about the ball being deadened for the playoffs and all those complaints?
No, I don't. I have. What was the ball dead when you put up 10 runs in the first? They just automatically switched it out?
So I'm not saying there isn't a problem with the ball and they change it. However, when they put it up in Atlanta, it was warm. And then they go home to St. Louis and it's 55 degrees there. Obviously, Washington D.C. is cold. The ball doesn't travel as well in the cold. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
It's October baseball. Happens every year.
Paul Goldschmidt, I think his batting average in the series was .094 or something ridiculous. That has nothing to do with the dead ball. It has to do with you.
Haven't hit.
Yeah, it means your bats went cold on you. So, but no, I'm excited. I mean, the Nationals are in the World Series for the first time. I do have a Washington Nationals jacket that I do own. Of course,
we're in Arizona.
I know.
Right?
I was gonna say, of course, it's 85 degrees out. Hey man, it was chilly this week when
There's been nothing chilly about anything here.
For us, dude, it's like 65 degrees. When I took Ireland to a horseback riding class the other morning, and I was in shorts and a shirt, and it was cold.
I'm not buying a fan still.
I know you're jumping in the pool and everything. You haven't acclimated to Arizona yet, so you'll know what I'm talking about next year. When you're like, why is it so cold here, man? It's only 65.
When I was here for New Year's, I thought it was kind of cold.
Yeah, right.
So I was expecting warm. Zach's already talked about, I will get in that pool this time.
Right? It's like, what in the world? So the Nationals, that's what I'm getting at is I can't wear the jacket because people are going to be like, you're such a bandwagon. No, actually, I went to the Nationals like 3 or 4 of the games because I used to be in a relationship with someone whose family lived back there, so we'd go back there, and I've been to several games at their ballpark there at the Navy Yard. And I've always cheered for them a little bit. But the Yankees-Houston series is still going on. Of course, Game 4 was postponed the other night, but they did get it in last night. Houston ended up winning that game, so they are 1 game away from going to the World Series with Game 5 tonight. What do you think?
I mean, you're throwing Justin Verlander tonight. I don't see the Yankees having his prayer.
Well, their bats have gone cold. One thing I did like, though, was CC got to go in and pitch for a little bit. CC Sabathia. He's obviously done for this series because they're not winning. I don't think they're winning this series. I don't think anybody thinks the Yankees have a chance. If they win tonight, it's like they're going to lose again next week because they have to go against Cole again on there. So, I mean, just projecting a little bit here, I could be completely wrong, but we're going to have a Nationals-Houston World Series.
You know who's not happy about that?
Who?
The television network.
Really? DC's a big market, though, right?
Yeah, but they want New York.
Well, of course.
And they would have wanted New York for sure.
The thing, I don't just my initial reaction without looking into it, I think Houston's going to win that in 4 or 5 games. I don't even think it's going to be a series.
Yeah, I think so too. Houston is just the dominant ball club and coming out of the American League, and I just think that everything falls in line
Any
for them.
league.
I think everything just falls in line for them. How they're going to be able to line up their pitching staffs and everything else.
You can't get out of good pitching with them anywhere. Now, the Nationals have good pitching, but nothing like Houston, right? So unless Greinke just falls off the face of the planet, which he can do, but that's only one game. Then you've still got to beat three guys that are number one starters on any other team in the league and all that. So, I mean, that's projecting up. We'll have more info on that once that gets wrapped up for next week. World Series will be kicking off next week when we record, so we'll have a preview on that, or at least be talking about Game 1 on there. However, some management news, which a lot of people aren't surprised by this, but they still are, that Joe Maddon decided to sign with the Angels, 3 years. I didn't see the exact final numbers, but they said anywhere from $15 to $20 million over those 3 years. The surprise wasn't that he signed there. The surprise was that he signed there so fast with all this Tyler Skaggs, DEA, drug stuff that's going on there. I don't see a problem with it because Joe Maddon can get through that. I think he's the one guy that can get through that. But anything on that? I know you're a White Sox fan, but being from Chicago.
I got lots of thoughts on this, actually. So Joe Maddon is kind of like the Phil Jackson of baseball to me. He's the Zen master. He can overcome, get through all these little bumps in the road that the Angels are going to have. And I think that any team that has him as a manager instantly becomes the favorite of that division. He just has his way of getting things done that, I mean, you cannot argue with the success he had in Chicago, the success he had in Tampa Bay, and it's one of those things where you just all of a sudden, the Angels are a contender in that AL West. They're the favorite in that AL West.
Over the team we just talked about?
I think so. I think it's a big deal. It is like they say it's 2 to 3 games a manager wins. I think it's way more than that.
Here's what I'll say about Joe Maddon is I enjoy him. I love him. I love his coaching style, but he's only good for 2 or 3 years and with a younger team, which the Angels tend to throw a lot of money at older players to get them to sign there to kind of go that route. The reason why he is so special at the beginning, like when he went to the Cubs and when he was in Tampa Bay, is because he doesn't go off of – like the Angels went from Mike Scioscia, who was just managed by his gut, old school, whatever, and they went total opposite with Brad Ausmus and went everything is analytics. We aren't going to make a move unless the computer tells us to, and that obviously didn't work out because that was disastrous. And Madden's more of that Mike Scioscia mold on there. So if they let him to do that stuff, he'll win a lot of games for him just because he'll make some move that if it works out, everybody will be applauding him. But what you find out is players tend to zone him out after a certain amount of time. Like they won that World Series. That next year the Cubs were still good. And then they started to zone him out a little bit because then the players are like, well, this is how it should be done. And this is how I'm going to do it. And they kind of zone him out a little bit.
What's the... I know you're from Arizona, but what's the LA media on baseball?
It's all Dodgers all the time.
So the Angel, he's going to fly under the radar no matter what. It's not like it's going to be like it is for him in Chicago, where he was the number one story every single day.
I mean, it is that way, but it's not the same intense focus that you have in Chicago. So if he makes a move and he brings in a pitcher that everybody's like, "What are you doing? This is the worst move ever."
It's still three stories behind the Dodgers.
Yeah, if he goes in there and it fails on him and they lose that game because of that, people will freak out. It'll be on the paper, but then it'll go away the next day. People aren't going to harp on it like they do in Chicago. Like I'm still hearing Chicago fans, oh my God, 2 years ago in the game in June, and it's like, oh my God, it was one game in June. Settle the F down.
It's terrible. You put on sports radio, and I still do. I still tune into the score here and there, and it's like they're talking Cubs and stuff that happened 2 years, and I'm like, all right. I'm trying to pay attention to you guys still, but at least talk Bears, please. Yeah. They're done. Yeah. It's over with.
It's like so brutal. It's like, man.
Talk manager. Don't talk to me about something that Joe Madden did.
And especially if I'm forgetting his name right now, Dave Roberts for the Dodgers stays employed, which it looks like he's going to. He's taking so much heat there right now. I mean, he's taking heat from the beginning, but the Dodgers are that analytics team. Dave Roberts doesn't, I don't believe, coach that team. He sits in that dugout and they hand him notes with make this move. He does not coach that team. He took a lot of heat for bad managerial, but he was handed notes on this is what you're going to do from analytics guys in the
analytics guys playing the PS4 game against the computer.
So Dave Roberts and that Dodgers team, because of all that talent, is going to just take the lead. So he is going to fly on the radar. But yeah, the best player in baseball with Mike Trout. The Angels' problems lately has just been they're injured all the time. And I think Madden is a player's coach, so he's going to realize that. He's going to give guys time off. He's going to let things like materialize. So I agree with you. I think the Angels won't be – they haven't finished with a winning record in like 5 or 6 years. I mean, it's been a long time for that much talent. So if anybody can turn around, it'll be Joe Madden, and I guess let's see, right?
Yeah, you got to see what players they bring in, what they do behind Mike Trout. But what did you like to see the best player in the game in the playoffs finally?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm an Angels fan. I mean, I don't know if you know that or not. I got Angels gear everywhere in here, and I've always rooted for them since I was a kid. You know, I was born right down the road and been back there 100 times and just kind of followed them since there was no team in Arizona. Yeah, I mean, it's a disgrace. Well, just forget about Mike Trout. Wouldn't it be awesome just to have the Angels in the playoff period, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually do enjoy the Angels. Follow them from a distance, and I really think you're going to see some big things.
Jason is not going to like this next comment, but if you can win in freaking Texas and Seattle from time to time, you can win in Anaheim, right?
Well, I mean, Seattle hasn't won a World Series yet.
No.
They've been to one. Yeah,
no, but they've had competitive teams that have made it far in the playoffs. Same thing with Texas. They never – did they win it in those 2 years they went? They won one?
They've won at least one.
Yeah, so –
because I think Seattle's the only team not to make an appearance.
Yeah, it hasn't appeared. It doesn't mean
that doesn't mean they've won, but they've the only one not to make an appearance yet.
Yeah, no, it would be exciting to see it. And I'm actually excited about this move. Like I said, I'm glad to see they only signed him to a 3-year deal because I think players tune him out after a few years. Because he does that weird thing where he, takes a star player, and he will double switch him in the middle. And that star players.
We said a 2-3-year deal.
It's a 3-year deal.
All right, so 2 will be his lame, and that means that he'll be ready to come back to Chicago, manage the White Sox. Yes,
going for it there, right? On that, so I mean, he would be a good fit for any young team. He would be a good fit for because he'd be able to mold those guys. So that leaves us with 7 teams. Obviously, it's going on, and that it was kind of surprising they signed him that quick because the playoffs are going on. You would assume Major League Baseball don't want that announcement, until.
Well, it was on an off day, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
the other thing about Joe Madden is with all this drug stuff with Tyler Skaggs, with him getting fentanyl and these high-end drugs from the team, doctors, and the team knew about it supposedly, and all this stuff. Joe Madden is going to be able to defect from the players going into next season, and that's why I think that's another great hire on there. Is he will take all the brunt of that.
Puts it all on his back, and then leaves it in the RV.
So 7 teams are still looking for their head coach. You got the Cubs, of course, Giants, Mets, Padres, who have been vacant for a while now, in the middle of the season almost. Phillies, Pirates, and Royals are all vacant still. And I was surprised the Phillies let their coach go so late. Especially, it's like the Nationals won that wild card game, and the Phillies went, well, we should be winning with Bryce. And the Nationals went to the playoffs and won the playoff game. Let's fire our guy and get somebody else in there. That's how I felt that move went down because it was so late.
You're looking at the Phillies. So what? The top 3 options. Which 2 don't belong? You got Dusty Baker.
He ruins pitchers.
You got Joe Girardi. And then it's now I'm drawing the blank.
Yeah, you just said it too, and I just
Buster or the guy from the Giants. Why am I drawing the blank now? Idiot.
I know.
Another old man.
I know you're talking about. Of course, you just said it.
I just said it too. Like when we were recording.
We both forgot it,
but how does if you're Joe Girardi and you're competing with Grandpa 1 and 2 for the job. Do you even want that job? I'd be like, I'm Joe flipping Girardi.
Well, here's the other thing. Like for the Angels, going back to that real quick, Joe Madden was number 1 on their list. Buck Showalter was their standby if Joe Madden didn't take it or whatever. And it's like, really, Buck Showalter? You know, it's like, what's with this regurgitation? But the young guys aren't working out either. I mean, the Philly just got rid of, was that Gabe Kaplan? Or, you know, he struggled when he first got there. Remember, he was going out to switch pitchers with nobody warming up and, and stuff like that.
We've seen that in Chicago a few times.
I was like, he's going to be fired after 1 year when he doesn't even know basic rules. But the funny thing is, obviously, Cubs have talking about Ross, you know, the old catcher. They have a bunch of names in there, but you haven't heard really anything on any other team, like you said, except for the Phillies, on who's going to take over those teams or who they're interviewing or anything. It's really been radio silence.
We have to talk this Cub thing too. I mean,
yeah, get it out.
All right,
really quick, get it out.
How is Joe Girardi not your manager if you're doing this? How can you bring in Grandpa Rossi to be your manager when he's only 3 years removed from being 3 years removed?
He retired right after that World Series win, right?
He's 3 years removed as a player on your team, and there has not been that change, like that massive changeover organizationally in the Cubs. So it's the same basic players. You know, at some point in time, someone's going to go up to him and be like, "Who the hell are you?" And does he want to come? He's got a pretty good life right now if you really think about his jobs that he's currently doing. Does he really want the stress of being a Major League Baseball manager of 200 plus days a year of?
Yeah, the paycheck can be jarring at times, but
what he made as a player, it's a down pay.
So, I mean, how many players walk out of the booth and go into even minor league? Most of them, none of them, I think, retire and then 5 years they're. Craig Counsell did it in Milwaukee, but he played there. I think he went there late in his career and is kind of a coach anyway when he went there.
We had the failed Robin Ventura experience on the South Side.
That's what I'm getting at. But even like Ryan Sandberg went in minor leagues and failed miserably there and didn't like it. And turns out he didn't like it. And everybody was like, Ryan Sandberg before Madden. Ryan Sandberg needs to be our coach and, you know, stuff like that. I think he ended up going to the Phillies before he ended up quitting or whatever.
And then you get these other teams that you're hearing nothing about. The Mets, I have not heard one single. They're like, I would love to have comments on the rest of these openings, but it's been like radio silence.
Like that's what I mean. Like Padres, they fired their guy in freaking August, July. So I mean, they've had 3 months. But even it was more shocking. The Giants announced it was the last year for Bochy before the season started, and you've heard nothing about the Giants.
Now, are there that many bench coaches and left in the playoffs that are like number one number one? There has to be, right? I mean, they have to have their picks pretty much lined up pretty soon. I mean, because once we finish Major League, once the World Series is over, you're weeks away from the general, winter meetings.
I'm sure they're talking to people or have ideas, people they want to talk to. It's just not being focused on right now. Like I searched the internet on Wednesday when I was doing this research just to see if there was like rumors. Like there's not even rumors. It's like what?
I mean, I actually looked it up. I was looking at something today in the New York Press, and it was just like dead silence.
Yeah, I mean, you hear things like people that you think they would go, but like no, they had talked to this guy. And I was actually at Disneyland when Joe Madden came in to interview. But I didn't hear they were talking to Buck Showalter or anything. Like I didn't know he was coming in. He apparently went in and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's a byproduct from the playoffs or what. But because they used to have the rule where you couldn't announce stuff. Or am I thinking? I might be thinking NBA.
There's a rule that they cannot announce during so today you got the Astros playing.
Yeah.
There will be no announcements today.
Oh, okay. So
it's just on an off day, you can announce whatever you want.
Okay, that makes sense. So we have the World Series, like I said. Well, of course, the ALCS is finishing up, so we'll see how that goes. I think everybody's consensus is Houston's winning that. I'm excited for the World Series, like I said, just because I've rooted for the Nationals forever. But I don't think they have a chance against that Houston pitching by any stretch.
Not to pull the comeback.
Yeah, I mean,
and I really don't. Yeah. I don't see him getting past Verlander myself.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the Nationals are lucky to be here 2 elimination games. They were down 3-1 in the 8th inning and came back and won. I don't see many teams doing that against Houston.
No, there's too much pitching there.
So let's move on really quick to the most exciting thing that has happened this week. It's all over the news. Nobody understands how they did it. XFL draft. Did you watch it? You couldn't watch it.
I couldn't watch it, but I was on my Twitter feed, and the biggest pop that I gave them was when they tweeted to Antonio Brown, "Nobody drafted you. You're free, bro."
Yeah, professional trolling at its best there. No doubt about it.
They were having fun with it, though. It wasn't Roger Goodell giving you, "Here's your jersey. Let's have the fake hug because I'm going to take a lot of money from you over the next 10 years."
Well, I mean, the disappointing thing is just the pay rate because the AFL failed. So, like, they lowered the pay rate for the XFL guys. So that's kind of disappointing. But there's a couple. I mean, there's a lot of retreads, obviously, that didn't make it in the end, which you expect at the beginning here. But there's a kid. I don't remember who he was drafted by. I want to say Los Angeles, but don't get me wrong. I don't have his name, so I apologize. But there's a kid that was drafted that could be an NFL pick, but he doesn't qualify because he got kicked out of school.
Right.
And he left school. And he's going to be drafted next year by the NFL. He's that good of a player. That's what's going to be interesting is if they survive 1 year. Second, you might see kids skip college to go play in the XFL instead of going to college and getting paid.
That's what Vince McMahon is banking on here. And they will make it past the first year. There's 3 years of money invested into this.
Well, I know. I understand that because he sold $300 million.
Vince is so stubborn, and this is his.
Yeah, well, yeah, because last time he didn't pull the plug. NBC
he didn't pull the plug. Right,
yeah.
And nobody can pull the plug on it this time. And I believe that the AFL could have been a success because they had me where I was like, if I could find it on a Sunday night, I would check out their game. You know, like
their problem
I would laugh when I would see Mike Singletary on the sideline, and I'd be thinking, can't win with him.
Well, whatever it was, the AFL or AAFL, whatever it was, their problem was they didn't have money. They went into it to beat the XFL, and they said,
to market.
Our product will get us sponsorships and money. And their product did not get them sponsorships or money, and that's why that's really why they failed. Is they were expecting all this income.
They were expecting to be a feeder league for the NFL, and everybody knows that you're not doing anything with the NFL Players Association 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean you have to negotiate that over time, and they were demanding it right away. So yeah, I mean I'm not I think it's. I think it's absurd that we're talking about the XFL because it doesn't start till February.
But put yourself in the situation of a college freshman that has no desire to go to school. You know, that little bit of money that the XFL is willing to pay, and he gets coached. I mean, if you look at it, they're being coached by professional coaches.
Yep.
You can't deny that they've put in. It's not me or you on the sideline telling them up downs. You know, it's real.
Yep.
It's real quality coaches. Real stadiums. They may be empty, but they're real stadiums. I think that the options for those players, if, like you said, they get through this season, you're going to see a lot more declaring for that XFL draft, waiting for to be able to play in the NFL.
I mean, just imagine what if you're like, say you're like one of those Twins Division I players, where
you're going to sit.
Yeah, you're going to sit for 2 years and then maybe just disappear off the face of the planet. But you love the game of football. So you're good enough. You got enough hype. You're a 4 or 5 star recruit. A lot of those guys disappear when they get recruited. You decide to go XFL, make that small salary for a year or two before and then learn the professional game. I mean, a lot of basketball players have tried it.
Is there a big difference in the pay between the CFL and the XFL?
XFL. So I think it's $55,000 for the XFL,
so
no hope for anything else.
Say the college kid is is thinking about not going to college. Like, say he just, he, like you're saying, he's that, Verge Division II athlete. Is he coming out of high school making $55,000 playing football still?
That's what I mean.
So why not go for it?
Yeah, that's the whole thing I'm thinking. But here's the interesting: if they make it past year 1, it might take year 2, but you might see a big 5-star recruit, like a big name guy, decide to go XFL instead of college to earn that money, because if he's good enough, he's going to get drafted from wherever he's at. There's no doubt about that.
We all of a sudden see a big shift in the NFL in there when you're able to be drafted. do they make it your draft can be drafted as a sophomore? All of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever change that because that's just size, man.
Do they do that with the XFL?
Have you
beating down their throat?
I don't hang around NFL players anymore like I used to. I used to know a bunch of them, and there was a difference between a 8-year NFL vet size-wise and just massiveness compared to a 1 or 2 year guy.
Okay.
It's not even close. So that's why they have that rule in there is you may think you're ready, but your body's just going to get beaten down because, you see Del Hellestrate at your other place, right? I mean, look at him. He wasn't that big when he first got in the league, and the guy's a massive beast over there with the size. What is he, 6'8", 6'6", and it's like holy crap. So name drop there for you, everybody. So you're welcome.
Check him out in the morning. 1580 The Fanatic here in Phoenix.
Adam works for Jason over at 1580 The Fanatic in Phoenix. So there you go, everybody.
Go ahead and check
I'm like the odd man out that doesn't have a radio gig around here. So, but I mean, yeah. So I mean, the XFL. I mean, it intrigues me. I'll tune into it if it's convenient. Like I said, the problem with the AAF was after week 2, you couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm not going to go search for stuff. I don't even search for like broadcast stuff anywhere. So, but if they make it convenient to watch, I'll watch it. I'll tune in. I don't care that the players are retreads right now. But the thing is they need to get to that year 2, year 3, year 4, I think. So they get away from those retreads. And then you are getting guys that are cut from the NFL teams. They're good enough to make the NFL, get on this practice squads or whatever. The thing is, though, is they're not paying their guys enough, so the practice squad is still more money than XFL is. They got to work that out somehow on there. But, once you get away from these guys, like some of these quarterbacks, man, you're like, oh, my God, Cordell Jones got drafted, and it's like the guy that once declared, we're here to play football. We don't go to class. He ended up getting his degree and stayed there and everything. But, and him and Antonio Bryant, not the guy he's retired, number 89 from Tampa Bay, got a big Twitter war this year because if he would have gone out after that first year, he would have been a top 15 pick or whatever, and he ended up being a 4th rounder because he stayed, all that. So there's that whole spat on there, and that's what you're going to see more of. And then of course transitioning into college football with this, players can get paid for their likeness. That's going to affect all this. So we're going to see a lot of changes coming up here. But going into college football, all the picks will be at the end today because, like I said, Mr. Jason Carter will be calling in. But number 3 Georgia, Adam, lost to South Carolina, unranked South Carolina this week. Fell to number 10th in the poll.
It's a big drop.
Huge drop. They don't even think they deserve to be number 10. You lose to South Carolina, and you're number 3.
You lose the game, guys.
You should just be out of the top 25. But the bigger surprise was because there's been no movement in the top, I think, 8 this year because those teams have all won. The bigger news is LSU jumped to number 2 in the polls with their dominating win last week. I call it dominating, but against Florida, I mean, it's 42, 28, I think it was.
Yeah, that's it. But you know what? That's because it's LSU. And they will do anything to push them back, give
they
them.
They have to hype it up because when Alabama and LSU plays, I think, coming up here soon.
Yeah, I think it's like 2
weeks
away.
But they want them as high as possible. So the loser doesn't drop that far, and then they can still get back in.
There can still be that
it's all to
make that college football playoff system.
But people are talking about LSU and Ohio State might be the best 1-2 teams in the country right now. And don't
write off my Wildcats quite yet. There was some sarcasm in case you guys weren't sure. Just wanted to let you know. I am willing to take 28.5 points though.
Well, we didn't have that game on the pick'em this week at the end. We don't have that game coming up on our pick thing. But you going out on a limb and going Northwestern over Ohio State tonight?
28.5, sure.
Oh, you're going spread?
Yeah.
You think they're going to keep it that close?
I think so. Pat Fitzgerald has kept Ohio State. He's
Ohio
always
State looks so good,
but he's always been able to keep them close. He's always been able to keep Michigan, like the big games. He's able to keep close. You put Harvard on the schedule, and he ends up losing these. It's not good. They're not going to lose by 28.5. if I had some action out here, I would know where to go, and I would do some action on it.
I don't know, man. Ohio State looks so good on offense right now.
It's 4 touchdowns.
I know. I get it. I totally get what you're saying, but, whatever. We'll see because they're playing tonight, Friday night.
But it wasn't in our picks, but if you're listening, take Northwestern. Get them points. Go Cats.
Get the 28. What if they're down by 28 at the end of the first quarter?
Well,
does that count?
Then can we edit this and change it around and I didn't say anything?
Yes, probably yes.
All right, well, then that's what we'll go with. Go Cats.
Yeah, so some other quick college football news, because like I said, we'll do the picks at the end when Jason calls in. I know you're not from here, so you don't understand this, but they did a study on the biggest rivalries in sports where they sent it out and so your team, it's like Northwestern would rate their rivalries.
Right.
So they would
Illinois.
put Illinois. So you have 100 points, say. And so let's say they put 75 to Illinois, 10 to Ohio State, Michigan. So you could rank your thing. And ASU U of A, the Territorial Cup out here, was ranked as the biggest rivalry in sports.
Now, so is this one of those because I am not from around here and I have
so you
no information on this
You
at
don't
all.
understand the hatred and the history.
Is this kind of you can't, in Chicago, you cannot be a Sox and a Cub fan? Can you be it? Can you be both?
Yeah, we're more laid back here. But I'm an ASU guy, and you won't find me rooting for the Wildcats in any. If they when they won their NCAA basketball, it was good for them, and then click, and then I moved on with my life.
It wasn't buy the T-shirt.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Pac-12. No, Pac-10 back then. Pac-10 won the maybe. No, it wasn't any of that. But if Washington Huskies win a championship, I'm like, yay, Pac-10 won, yay.
Didn't we go to a bowl game that had Pac something?
Yes.
Wasn't a Pac-12?
Yes.
It was the Cheetos Bowl or the
Cheez-It Bowl.
Cheez-It Bowl.
It was so bad. That was such a bad bowl game. Last year,
I'm going to be Big 12 expert to the stars.
Right. But so. It's just.
Pac-12,
I mean, it's a hated rivalry and whatnot. But I mean, if you think about it, the way they rated it, ASU. I mean, you could put USC down as a rival. Not really. I mean, you hate them and you hate playing them. You can put UCLA down as a rival, but your one team is U of A. You do not. And then same thing with U of A. They can put. Basketball, they can put Kansas, but they're not playing them all the time. There's just that hated. So it makes sense that they're always ranked high on that deal. But it was just kind of interesting news that comes out. Because when you think rivalries, you think Red Sox, Yankees.
Right. Do you think, now do both teams sell out and
Depend. Dude, it's Arizona, so it's no different than California. You win, you sell out. You don't win, people don't show up.
Okay. I'm just trying to get some little bit of information because I don't have it.
If Jason was here, we'd have a little bit more on it. But, yeah, I mean, you don't understand the hatred on it. But, I mean, it's, ingrained in you here to not like the school down south. The common phrase is give Tucson back to Mexico,
I have a Cardinals T-shirt. Does that help me for anything?
Well, that's for the NFL. You can go that route.
Okay.
You just hate going down to Tucson. When you live in Phoenix, you just hate going down to Tucson for anything. You're like, oh, I got to go down there for work, and you just dread it because you're like, it's such a crap hole type of stuff. So it's just funny how that was ranked down there. But one nice thing to see is, and actually I have not watched it yet. I didn't get time to squeeze it in this week because last night I went to the Midland concert last night. That was phenomenal. One of my favorite new bands out there, country-wise. But I have not seen it. That ASU Hard Knocks came out on Wednesday night. I'm looking forward to watching that this weekend.
Is that Amazon Prime?
No, it's it's on HBO. It's basically the Hard Knocks for college.
All right.
So they followed ASU all last week going into the Washington State game. That ASU won 38-34, I believe they ended up winning it on there. So they followed it just like the NFL. And then what they did was that's really neat that I'm interested in seeing. They're doing Florida, ASU, Washington State, and I forgot the other team.
So these are 1 week,
one week
off.
Yeah, so it's 1 week of following the team, all that, and then they watch the game, they do the post game stuff, and then they're done, and then they air it Wednesday.
It's gonna be interesting for me because I know nothing about the program itself. So kind of interested. I'll be interested to see that because just watching Hard Knocks this past season. I'm pretty much on the Raider, except for last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't want to talk about.
Well,
but besides that, I'm on the Raider bandwagon. I'm knocking on wood and doing whatever I have to.
But just the recruiting side of it, getting shown on HBO, is huge, right? But here's the interesting thing: so like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but I hear great reviews. I hear they come off spectacular in this deal, and so I want to watch that this weekend. But what they did was, because Arizona State and Washington State are both on there. I know Florida is the last team, and I'm forgetting the fourth team that was in it. I've talked about it 100 times on here. But so ASU played Washington. So they had ASU all week. They played Washington State. Then they went. Now they're following Washington State this week. So you're going to see the lead up to the ASU Washington State game from ASU's perspective. Then you're going to see the Washington State perspective with Mike Leach going to their game this week for next week on there. And that's what I'm like. I'm fascinated by that kind of a deal. So
you're missing Penn State.
Penn State. There you go. 6-0 Penn State, who I didn't think they were going to be that great this year. And they're 6-0 right now going into this week. So, yeah, so no, I'm excited to watch it this weekend. So I'll have a review on it next week. Absolutely, and maybe just have the review of the Arizona State one and the Washington State one, because Mike Leach is not a happy camper these days. Going into the Arizona State game on Saturday, he was calling his players fat and lazy and entitled. They put up a good fight. I thought they would have quit when they got down earlier and everything.
Why does Mike got to take personal shots at me?
Right. Yeah. Are you one of his football players? He probably thinks more highly of you than his football team, to be honest with you, on there. So, I want to see how the team interaction is on there and all that stuff for going into that. So, like I said, we'll kind of have a review on that next week because, like I said, I did not get time to watch it this week at all. So, NBA's preseason's going. Big China dust up. Me and Jason talked about it a little bit earlier. Now LeBron opened his mouth, and NBA is all about money. So I've been the controversy for the last, 2 weeks. It's kind of dying down now because I think the NBA told everybody to shut the hell up. Although Sterling the commissioner did come out yesterday, I think, and said we've lost a ton of money because of the China market. It's like, dude, nobody feels sorry for you because you're not supporting human rights.
Who feels sorry for anything associated with the NBA?
Right. I
mean, I'm sorry. I have a poor me thing with them, and I don't really.
But the West this year is going to be outrageous, man. Like, the Clippers are going to be good. Lakers are obviously going to be good. Portland's always good up there. Oklahoma City's going to go back. I'm forgetting teams here. Houston's going to be good as normal. The West is going to be. You could have a team. You could have a dominating team miss the playoffs this year with superstars. So
I am very much not the NBA insider.
Yeah, it's preseason.
I am the outsider of the NBA, but hasn't the West been the dominant for?
Absolutely. But it's even more tough this year.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that my limited knowledge is correct.
Yeah, the Lakers have sucked the last 5 years, and then even last year with LeBron, they were garbage, and now they got forget his name, Anthony Davis there on top of everything. So, they just instantly got good. So it's not good to be a Suns fan if you're a Suns fan out there and here in Phoenix because, you're going to get destroyed in a lot of games.
But you get to see a lot of good teams come to town.
And then Draymond, my favorite part was they're doing media yesterday, and Draymond Green comes out and basically says the Suns suck and everybody likes playing them because they're so easy. Hey, go Draymond with the Warriors.
So, just kind of curiosity, local stuff here. Who does Arizona support the most, no matter what? Because it's the Bears in Chicago.
The Suns have lost. It was the Suns forever.
Okay.
But when Robert Sarver brought the team and they've gone slowly downhill, now people support the Suns, but not like it was by far. It's definitely the Cardinals.
Definitely the Cardinals? Okay.
I think on that.
It's good
but
to know.
We're such a transient place that, I was at the Cardinals-Falcons game last week, and you can listen to me on Cardinals Rewind this week. I have the intern joining me for a little segment this week to help me out since Jason wasn't able to make it this week. But at the Falcons game, the Atlanta Falcons. I've lived here for however many years. I don't think I've ever met a Falcons fan.
Never met a Falcons fan, but
and they were all in the stadium though.
I will tell you what. Zach and I were going to spring training in Florida a couple years ago, and it was over. And we caught the opening game for the Braves. And talk about the nicest staff ever was the Atlanta Braves staff. I still remember to this day, just like everything was right this way, sir. Can we get you something? Sir? It was just like, this is a baseball game.
Southern, man. The Southern.
It's like crazy. And Chicago's like, where's your ticket?
Yeah.
You ain't got no ticket. Get out of here.
You don't belong here. Get out of here. No, it's that Southern,
Southern hospitality.
Whatever. Yeah, right there. So they were like, here, have a peach. I don't know.
Can I get two?
I've been to Atlanta numerous times, but I've never seen a Braves game there. But yeah, exactly. So out there. But here's some quick things. NBA, we just touched on it real quick. We'll get as much into that as we want to here. Regular season kicks off here in a couple weeks. Let's go to what everybody wants to hear, the NFL.
Dun, 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 dun.
So I have a list of things here. We'll just go. If it interests you, we'll talk about it. If it doesn't, we'll just move on. The NFL announced, the commissioner, that I'm forgetting his name, which is funny because everybody hates him. Roger Goodell came out and said that a 17-game season is going to be in the CBA talks coming up here.
I am all for a 17-game season, and you can take that 5th preseason game and put a big X on it. I don't need to see it.
Oh, as a longtime season ticket holder of the Arizona Cardinals here, I have gotten to the point.
You shaft because you got to buy those too.
Yeah,
right?
That's a full price. Like there's no.
I mean,
now
they're
they
not
do
even playing anybody.
But now they do
third.
that. But now they do that thing where because they now it's that tickets to like a good game. It's like the Browns are coming this year. And if you look at your ticket, the Browns tickets like double what a preseason game is. You average it out for the year, right? So they've changed it to where you look at your preseason ticket, it'll be like $50 for preseason, and then like I said, the Browns will be like $175. It's like you're just playing funny money at that point,
right?
I'm buying 10 games at full price, and 2 of those games are just garbage crap.
I mean, because they don't even the third game doesn't even count anymore.
Yeah, it's always bothered me. That you have to do that. So I'm good. Get 2 preseason games. Let's move on with our lives. Get a feeder league or do something. Make more of a preseason or make more of a practice squad type thing so you can keep more players on there to earn spots, whatever. But I've felt for a while that the NFL is just ripping us fans off for that's partly why you're not seeing people go to games anymore. It's always bothered me, but as I'm getting older, I'm like insulted that they give these preseason tickets away for the same price. Like, go play your preseason games.
Go over to Europe and play that.
No, not even that. No, that would be a little tough. Here's an idea, though. So, like, Vegas will have a team next year. Why don't the Cardinals go play 2 preseason games in Vegas? Because those people would appreciate paying full price for a ticket to go see an NFL team there, right?
Right.
Go to Salt Lake and go to Ute Stadium and play a preseason game there.
Go to Birmingham.
Yeah. You have an opportunity to take NFL teams and put them in markets where they don't get to see NFL teams.
That's a solid plan right there.
And let them...
Because you could care less about going to see
them. I don't care. Because I'll see them 8 times with my season tickets. I don't need to go watch some crappy... then the argument is that a lot of people... Because it is true. If I give the tickets, I just give the tickets to like families that want to go. And they love it. Because they never get to go to any games or anything. So they take advantage of it and they love it. But it's just my opinion is if you're just going to do that and charge full price, take it someplace where you get, and then you get a bigger outreach, right?
So is 4 the number or is 3 the number of games that they need to have?
Well, they said they're going to lower it down to 3 preseason games. They're going to start the same time frame, Labor Day, but they're going to play later into February. Is where you said it would get moved to.
Okay.
But in order for that to work, I think is obviously... The Players Association wants more active players every week, and I think you're going to find that they're going to want their practice squad to be raised a little bit more also on there.
You know what? I don't have a problem with that. Probably I would say the second weakest bargaining one is the NFL Players Association. It's the one sport.
Well, they cave the fastest.
Right?
And that's because
behind the NBA, I think the NBA is the worst bargaining group they have.
Yeah, but they don't cave as fast because there's more guys that make a lot of money. Think about the NFL is you have Breeze, Brady, those guys that can hold out for 4 years. They never have to play again. But 90% of the league is those guys making $100,000 or whatever the league minimum is, $200,000 or whatever. Those guys can't.
Right.
You make the league minimum in the NFL. People are like, "Oh man, you make $300,000 a year. That's great." But what they don't realize, well, yeah, they have their agents take whatever 10% or whatever, but then they have to have personal trainers, eating people,
Yeah,
all that.
for
They're
sure.
workout people. So I mean, that money goes away quick. And I'm not saying that's bad, but it's not like they're walking out of there with,
And you hear, oh my God, he just signed a 3-year, $100 million deal. Well, only whatever you got as a sign-us bonus is the only thing that's protected.
Yeah, I mean,
the rest of that's funny money if they want it to be. They could say, see you next year, but I just signed $100 million. No, it's not like baseball where you sign a $100 million deal.
You get it.
You get in $100 million.
Yeah.
Ask, oh man, why am I drawing a blank on the guy? That's Bobby, he still gets a check every year from the.
Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla is still getting that $1 million check a year.
Yeah, but that was because they stretched it out in a fund.
But I'm just saying, what a great. I mean, for him. But if it was football, he would have seen the dime and been over.
Baseball, different rule. If you did that in football, it's all affects your salary cap this year regardless. Well, that's why you see like an 8-year contract knowing that they're only going to play 3 and all that money's up front is because it's just for salary cap purposes.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's just like it's a very weak players association.
And like I said, part of it is because 90% of the league is like, we need to play. Like, I need this paycheck. Let's play now. Most players play for 3-4 years at the most. And I don't even know if that might even be high. And they sit out a season, and that's one season where some young guy is ready to come in, and take their job for less money. Because your 4th year, you get paid. You have to get paid X amount minimum for that 4th year. And if you can get a guy right out of college that can run and tackle a guy at the end there, you're going to get rid of the guy making $50,000 more for a guy that's cheaper, just save room on the backside. But yeah, so I don't know. I just found it interesting that they announced that. I even read somewhere that they were talking about players can only play in 15 or 16 games if they go to a 17 or 18 game season where, so like Tom Brady would have to sit out a game at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year something.
No, play football.
Because, it's all about safety, Adam, if you didn't get my sarcasm there.
Yeah, let's get the flags out.
Stupid. So, Alex Smith, Redskins, broke his leg, sawed his leg off last year. He's had to have 17 surgeries on his leg since he broke it.
That is just insane.
Isn't that crazy? I saw somebody respond to the tweet I saw on that, and he goes, "This is why Andrew Luck retired. It isn't worth it." I was like, Andrew Luck didn't have his legs sawed off like that, man. Like, holy cow.
Crazy.
But it just goes, you hear all this stuff about Alex Smith wants to come back and play. He ain't ever playing again. If you've had 17 surgeries on the leg, and he's probably not done. But the nice thing is he gets to sit there, collect his paycheck while he's healing, get better, and then live a good of a life as you can with your leg. I mean, who's the Redskins guy that shattered his femur with Lawrence Taylor?
Theismann.
He's living the life now after that, and technology's so much better on fixing that nowadays. So.
Right, he's pushing the blue pill left and right.
So Josh Rosen was benched in Miami this week after
the vote of confidence.
Yeah, Miami said he's our quarterback for the rest of the year. We want to see what we got. A bad game, and halfway through it, they were like, "Let's go back to Fitzmagic."
Typical Miami.
How that just shows your ineptitude as an organization. Like, don't come out and say he's our guy for the rest of the year, no matter what, and then do that. Keep your mouth shut. It drives me nuts. Yeah, don't announce and leave the option open that you can bench him.
Right.
Because now once you announce that, you just look stupid.
That's like that. He should have known he was going to the bench after he got the endorsement. That's like Dusty's our manager. Oh, we're going to fire Dusty tomorrow.
The best part of that, we can talk about that with the Cowboys. Jerry Jones is out there saying, who's their coach name? Holy cow. The redhead? Oh my gosh. How did I forget his name?
Yeah,
but he's out here saying it's not all his fault why the Cowboys have gone on this 3-game skid and other coaches, and you're just like, Jerry, don't be saying that,
right,
buddy.
Jerry, you're just going to fire that man.
He's not going to fire him in the middle of the year.
No.
Because they have all the talent. He's going to make it.
But Washington.
He's not going to get re-signed on there.
Right.
And then I've been reading all the Lincoln Riley stories that are coming out again this week. Jerry Jones wants to lure Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma after this year and all that stuff. So you see all that garbage going around in there. Jason Garrett, thank you.
Sorry, Jason Carter. Jason Garrett is the coach.
I know, right? It's like, how did I forget that name? So we brought it up. Local news, because he was a Cardinal and had a big falling out here before he left. Anquan Bolden officially retired from the NFL. He retired as a Raven. There was a lot of talk when Carson Palmer went into the Ring of Honor a couple weeks ago that Anquan Boldin should go up there. He burned some bridges when he left with the ownership and front office people on there. But yeah, so he retired as a Raven.
He stayed active long enough to get in that Madden 25 game is what he
Oh,
did.
is that what it was? He's doing all that social justice stuff now on the backside. So he's got obviously a life and a career outside of football. It's just he's well regarded here by the fan base. I know you haven't been here to see it. The fans have fond memories of him because we drafted him and like some god awful round in his first game. He had like 300 yards catching, and he got hit by a Jets player one time, broke his face, and was playing the next week. Just a phenomenal all around player.
He was gritty. He got the job. He was one of those guys, right? You just counted on every Sunday.
A beast. And he was drafted. Same year Larry was. So Larry, that was his problem. So like Larry being the third draft pick, made a ton of money right out. So he would always make good money. And he was such a low pick that he couldn't get Larry money, and it just burned some bridges with him and everything. So, but yeah, so he did retire as a Raven. It was kind of nice to see how the Ravens took care of him because I'm also a Ravens fan on there.
Was he like Jerry Maguire? Wanted the money.
Yeah, I want the money. He was a Niner for a while there. I mean, God, he played for a lot of teams there. So, and then the big news this week is the Rams, who have been struggling, trade Marcus Peters to the Ravens, and everybody was like, what the heck are the Rams doing? Like, Marcus Peters is struggling a little bit this year, but kind of interesting that they're trading him when Talib went on the IR. All these question marks came out. Didn't hear anything, and literally like 30 minutes later, breaking news. Jalen Ramsey, who the Jaguars said they would not trade under any circumstances. He's going to play for us until his contract's up. Trade Jalen Ramsey to the Rams. How do you feel about all these moves?
I'm not overly excited about any of the moves, honestly. I think it's the Rams they're not that good this year. And, losing Jared Goff for a little while here now, too, and everything else that they got going on.
Not Jared Goff.
Gurley.
Yeah.
Losing Gurley for a little while here.
Well, Gurley's got a knee problem. He's
done.
He's not. He'll come back and play again, but they're going to get rid. I think they're going to get rid of him as soon as his contract is viable.
And then they just put that defensive back on IR.
Yeah. That was the thing, man. They put Talib on IR, traded Marcus Peters, and everybody was like, "What the hell are the Rams doing?" And then they got Jalen Ramsey, and
they think that they're in this window, and I don't think the window's there right now for this year.
What are they? They were 3-2. Are they 3-3 now? Yeah. So the Rams. I mean, the Niners are running away with this NL.
The wild card's not coming out of that division.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that. So it's just fascinating. The Rams are making all these secondary moves when, quite frankly, here's the thing though. They traded for Ramsey and didn't get 2 first-round picks and a player on a 4th-round pick to Jacksonville.
Picks, so
the Rams haven't had a first-round pick. Unless they trade back up, and then this year or next year, 2017 to 2021. Their offensive line is their problem this year because they can't go get somebody.
There's so much coming out.
And Jared Goff's $30 million a year contract starts next year. Todd Gurley's making a crap ton of money, and he's not even playing well or playing at all. Like this week, he's ruled out. He's got a knee problem that they keep saying he's good, but come on, we're watching these games.
Those first-round picks are so valuable to your organization going forward. I mean, even just look what the Raiders did with how many first-round picks they were able to pick up. And the Bears, they didn't even get a pick till the 3rd round, and it's next year, 3rd round also. So it's like you're taking these – the picks are your future to play for the present.
I believe the picks are the future.
And I just don't think that the Rams made the right call on this one because I don't think their present is very bright.
They are going to run into serious salary cap issues next year. Like in order to sign Ramsey, you have to sign him to a long-term deal. If you trade 2 first-round picks, you cannot let him walk at any point. So who are you going to get rid of to clear? And like I said, their offensive line's already showing holes. Jared Goff has no time to throw back there. He's about to start making $30 million a year. Like you said, Todd Gurley. They're going to get rid of him, I think, as soon as it's contract expedience on there. So it's just interesting to see. I want to call it I wouldn't call it panic mode yet, but I feel like almost like the Rams are panicking because they're like, we have a window here, like another year, and we're done, guys. If we don't start dominating this deal, and I just don't see it coming. So this year might be a Super Bowl hangover, but it's just going to be interesting with no first round picks and what they're doing. More officiating issues in the NFL. Obviously, the latest one is the Monday night game where the Lions
got screwed.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Flowers, 2 hands to the faces. The NFL's come out and said the second one definitely should not have been called and actually should have been called on the Packers offensive lineman. Kept drives. People are like, it doesn't influence. Here is my biggest issue with people that argue stuff for the NFL. Is all the Packer fans are like, well, that didn't keep the Lions from only kicking field goals in the. What does that have to do with the fact that the Lions had the lead? They got 2 hands to the face, but that kept Packers' drives alive, and then they score on both of them. What does the Lions not being able to convert early in the game have to do with 2 Packers' drives late in the game are kept alive and they score on them because of 2 bad calls? There is no correlation between the 2 of those. I hate how people argue that. It drives me batty. And you can tell I'm just like angry about it because it has nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other. If you can't understand why, I'll let you talk in a minute. If you can't understand why a penalty in the fourth round when it's fourth down or whatever, and you get 1 penalty, and the drive stays alive, and they score. And then later on in the game, they stop them on 3rd down, and they get a penalty, a bogus penalty, and that drive goes, and they go and score and win the game. If you can't see the difference between that happening then, and then they're like, well, there's bad calls against the Packers in the second quarter. Okay, if you cannot see why the 4th quarter call to keep a drive alive and get the Packers, they go down and score to win it. If you can't see how that call is way worse than the one that happens in the second quarter when you have time to get over it, I can't help you out. NFL fans are like the worst when it comes to this crap because they like always try to correlate something to each other. No, let's focus on the fact that officials are literally making stuff up on the field, and it's becoming unwatchable in my opinion. NFL is becoming unwatchable. It's literally like they need to just come out and say that we script our games now, and it would be more watchable than what it is now. I'm not saying that people are doing anything wrong. I'm just saying it is god awful. And when you're watching a game on Monday night, and I tuned in by the way, I didn't see the game. I tuned in like the last 5 minutes. I saw the bad calls at the end there. And it's like, why? This is garbage. Why are we watching this? Just to watch an official. They can't throw the flag unless they see something.
All right, first deal, I'm going to say, woosah, woosah. I feel like I need to go on a big rant here, and I don't have one built up in me this second. So I'm going to keep it a little short and sweet. The NFL officiating is ridiculous. The facts that Packer fans are going to talk about stuff that happened in the first and second quarter is ridiculous.
Yes.
Any penalty that is called that is wrong, that keeps a drive alive, it affects the game more than anything that possibly an NFL official can do. And that's all I got for you. Do a better job. As Coach Tibbs would say, do your job. And that's what I need the NFL officials to do, is do your job. I'm more upset that the Packers won this game on a personal feeling. Yeah. But overall, they need to do a better job of officiating. I cannot handle the crap that's on the field at this point. And they keep doing more and more instant replays, and they keep not making the decision. Everything that they want to look at, then something new pops up that they should be able to look at. But, we can't look at that. You know what? Make it where you can look at any goddamn thing you want to look at.
I thought you said you didn't have a rant.
All right, well, the rant came, and now I'm going back to my
I hate the replay process because if you have to slow a play down to see if it was good or not, like I understand, use the technology of the chance, but look at it in real time. Give them a chance to look at it on replay in real time. If you have to slow it down to 1/10 of a millisecond to see if that guy's in bounds or if he catches it or whatever, that's not the purpose of replay.
If you're playing it at real time, and most of these calls that go bad, you can see it in real time.
Yeah,
that it's
and officials have a lot of responsibility. Officials have a lot of responsibilities out there. So I don't expect refs to be perfect. I don't expect But you don't throw your flag on a penalty unless you see it. And there's no way that guy saw hands to the face because it didn't occur.
Right.
You watch the replay. It did not occur. He didn't go near his head. He didn't go near his neck. Nothing. And that's what's just infuriating about it. But we're seeing it all the time. It is never good as a sports league when after a game like that, nobody talked about the game. Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter was all about the officiating. Everything on Twitter about the officiating.
Everything was about the officiating.
And 3 days later, they're still talking about it. Roger Goodell addressed it yesterday. And it's like, that is not good for any league. And then people are like, let's go full-time refs. NCAA has full-time refs. Have you seen their football officiating? Oh, my God, the Pac-12 is some of the worst in the country. And those are full-time referees. You know, if going full-time isn't going to solve it. It starts from the top. Somebody at the top is saying something to these referees and not training them properly or doing something, and it's going down into these referees, and it's just bad. I literally tweeted after Monday night, and I said, is this becoming unwatchable? Because I literally am to the point where I don't want to invest in a game for 3 hours just for it to come down to a referee making a decision at the end. It drives me nuts.
I agree with you.
And then they miss the obvious stuff on top of it. Oh, my God. I can go on for hours on this. Oh, I shouldn't have written that down for our subject matter this week.
If there was a man on the other side of the glass, he'd be telling us to wrap it up on this one.
Right? Oh, my God. I can go for hours with example after example. Just clean it up. Get better. It's not that hard. I don't expect you to be perfect. You can miss stuff. I'm okay if you miss stuff. But just stop influencing the game on stuff that isn't there. That's what drives me the batty. Marcus Mariota gets benched for Ryan Tannehill in Nashville, Tennessee.
I refuse to talk Nashville, Tennessee football. They make nothing but bad decisions there.
Because they benched Marcus Mariota, who has not moved the ball anywhere the last two games.
They signed Cody Parkey. That's enough for me not to even care about anything they have to say.
That's what it is. Oh, that's right.
I have nothing good to say about them.
So I think Marcus Mariota
overrated.
Between him and Jameis Winston that year, if you could go back to that draft again, you wouldn't pick either one of them, 1 and 2. Because Winston is,
and you wouldn't trade it, and you wouldn't trade up to get Mitch Trubisky either.
Yeah, right. But I think Mariota's just lost all of his confidence. He needs to be benched. I'm not saying Ryan Tannehill's the answer because he played in Miami.
Does Mariota need a new scenery?
Well, possibly. But, I mean, he's had so many new coaches and stuff. But he's definitely lost his confidence. You can see it like in his eyes while he's playing. So maybe going to Ryan Tannehill, because Ryan Tannehill, I'm expecting him this week at least to put a good game together because he's got something to prove himself being from Miami.
Isn't he a game man? I mean,
yes.
He's a game manager, though.
That's why he got ran out of Miami.
To me, he's not really a quarterback. He's a game manager.
Yeah, no, I mean, he managed the games in Miami, and that's kind of why they ran him out of town was because he did everything he was supposed to do, kind of, but he couldn't take you to the next level because he would just do it. And you got to go to the next level, you have to have talent around you, and he just didn't have that in Miami. So, but I mean, yeah, it's just, between Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston down Tampa Bay, number 1 and number 2 in that year. I mean, Jameis Winston has got, I think he had 32 turnovers last week in London.
And
it was so bad.
He's been bad ever since they drafted him. You had character flaws going into that draft with him, and I think that those should have been more glaring, and Tampa should have definitely not even hindsight. I called it when it happened.
Well, I mean, he's losing. If Bruce Arians, who's a quarterback whisperer, can't turn him around, he ain't. Jameis Winston's done. He's coming up done. So, Jason's not here, so we can't make fun of him. That the Cowboys are 3-3. He's probably hanging himself right now.
We can't make fun of Jason. Is that a rule?
Well, no. I'm saying no. Yeah. Oh, you would have watched him get all. You would have been like, let's just move on. Let's move on right now.
Well, I'm going to play.
I don't want to talk about it.
Can we move on from the Cowboys, please? I'm sticking up for Jason today.
We can't. We got to enjoy that they're a 3-game losing streak. So
trending to 4.
Yeah, stick around for the picks coming up and see who has them winning
spoiler.
This week and everything, right? On there. So Michael Bennett was suspended by the Patriots for disagreeing with his line coach. Michael Bennett, who has had problems everywhere. You surprised by that?
No, I'm not surprised by that. But you know what does surprise me? Well, it doesn't surprise me that the Patriots are able to do it. A normal team, not able to do that.
Especially with him.
Not even, but the Patriots, it is literally next man up and not a big fall off. A regular football team, that's a fine, and you're still playing on Sunday.
You're exactly right on that. Absolutely. And then the big news
Dun, 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 dun.
that'll make Chicago Bears fans, I don't know, does it make you happy? Mitch Trubisky is back this weekend after their bye week.
So you got a bye week. Now, this is Mitch. We need good Mitch. Definitely need to have good Mitch here because this game, Teddy Bridgewater has been, I'm going to call him great in his 5 games.
Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get a starting job out of this someplace.
Do I think that he's, is he Drew Brees? No. But what has to happen, Mitch has to take that next, and we've been talking about this for 2 years, and all of a sudden, this was supposed to be his coming out year, and then all of a sudden we're just hearing about, well, we're going to simplify the offense and do this and do that. I'm going to tell you this. If Mitch doesn't have a bounce back for the remainder of the season, I don't want him getting signed to that long-term deal, second contract. I think you have to cut bait at that point because you can't have. Well, he's in a contract year.
No,
you can't give him $30 million.
You're going to be in the same boat that Dallas is right now with Dak.
You go back to that draft, and you're just like, in Chicago, it is the weekly Mahomes.
I hate when people.
It is the 3 quarterbacks with their stats lined up in the front of the paper every week, win, lose, or draw. It doesn't matter what Mitch does. He's compared him to Patrick.
I hate when people do that. But yeah, I get it.
But Mitch is coming back. You're a better football team. The Bears are a better football team with Mitch at the helm than with Chase Daniels because Mitch can make things happen that Chase can't, but Mitch will also make the mistake. Well, I can't even say that because I watched Chase Daniels make the mistake that ruined my Sunday 2 weeks ago. The Fox comes on, gives me 2 minutes of Bears game football.
The London game
gives me 2 minutes of football, and it's the first play is the interception. I said, "Thank you very much, Fox," and I stormed out. But I'm happy Mitch is coming back. I think the Bears. Well, I'll tell you what I think of the Bears a little bit later. But
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm happy that Mitch is back, and when you have an option of Chase Daniels or Mitchell Trubisky, you go with Mitchell.
Yeah, and they're playing the Saints this week. So, but sometimes, Adam, the injury might help Trubisky out because he was able to be on the sideline and watch Chase Daniels play. So he's able to study a little bit more on the sideline, get out of his head a little bit because I think that's part of his problem. I also think that maybe Matt Nagy's system might be a little too confusing for him, and they need to dial that back a little bit. So this bye week might have helped him out.
We've been dialing that offense back for 2 years now.
I know.
Let's really look at what it is for the Bears. Coming off a bye week, that defense got some rest, and Matt got some rest. And that's where you win these football games anyway. The Bears win these games on defense, turnovers, and special teams. That's where the Bears win the games. Mitch is. I'm going to go with what we talked about earlier. Mitch is a game manager. He needs to manage the game. If you need Mitch to pull something out, he can pull out that 20, 30-yard quarterback scramble that you're just like, whoa, where did that come from?
Right.
But if I need him to march down the field, God, I'm hoping.
So we'll see if he had to do some rest. I don't think Trubisky's as bad of a quarterback as people say he is. He's got his problems, but he's young. He's super young, and he's in Chicago with the spotlight on him. We talked about that in the baseball deal.
There is no bigger spotlight than being the Chicago Bears' number 1 quarterback.
Absolutely. And then where he was drafted. That's what I like. That's my thing with Daniels and Giants is, by picking him where you pick him at, you put all that extra pressure on him.
Trading up.
That's what I'm getting at.
I mean,
so the Giants just did it too. For him at 6th or whatever, when he could have got him probably late first, and you just put extra pressure on the people because people expect him to be
right. And then you put that on, and then you put up what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do. I mean, he's in a no-win situation. If he's not heisting a Super Bowl trophy,
exactly.
he's getting crapped on.
And then this week isn't going to help him if he has a decent to better than decent game this week. It isn't going to help him if Teddy Bridgewater looks so much better than him too, because people are going to be like, yeah, they lost to a backup quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. They pay him like a starter because of those qualifications and everything. And if he doesn't just have Trubisky doesn't have just a great game or better than good game this week, people are going to compare him and be like, we lost a backup quarterback. We should have gotten Bridgewater. It's going to be this whole thing. He's just in a no-win situation. So it'll be interesting to see there. So, yeah. But we got Jason on the line here.
The man, the myth, the legend.
All right. Jason has limited time, so let's get into the picks here. Jason, last week, just to go over the deal here, for college football, I went 5-1, and you showed me up again and went 6-0. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel great. I was like, man, what did I do in college football last week? Because I don't remember the games we picked, but nah, heck yeah.
Well, you went ASU over Washington State. You went Tennessee, and I went Mississippi State. And Tennessee actually looked like a good football team last week.
Huge upset last week.
Of two unranked teams.
The SEC last week was that one.
Yeah. Then we both had Oklahoma over Texas, and that ended up being 34-27. And then we both had Penn State over Iowa. And then we both had LSU over Florida. And then, of course, we both had Alabama over Texas A&M. So I, of course, missed Mississippi State because I couldn't trust Tennessee to do that. I don't know why I picked Mississippi State, but I did. So
That's an upset. You walked the chalk.
yeah, right. So I'm 22-9 on the season, and you are catching up because you are 20-11 for college football now. So
Heck yeah.
congratulations.
Feeling good.
So this week on our picks, we got a bunch of big games again this week. Let's start off with the number 17 Arizona State Sun Devils versus the Utah Utes. At Utah, of course, number 17 ASU, number 13 Utah. Let's start with Adam here, since you're a Pac-12 guru.
Oh, yes. I have Pac-12 knowledge up the yin-yang, and I'm going to go with Arizona State.
Nice. Going Arizona State today. What say you, Jason?
Adam, go with the hometown team.
Right?
Man, this game, I feel like it's more of 2 touchdowns is the spread on this game in favor of Utah. I feel like this could be like a trap game for Utah, and I kind of feel like ASU has like a good run in them this year, so I'm going to take ASU.
Well, the more you look into Utah, the more deceiving they are because they are the highest scoring team in a lot of places, but they haven't played anybody that currently has a winning record. So I think it's all deceiving. It is in Utah. It is going to be cold. It is going to be rainy. So when you make your pick, be careful on it.
Yeah, so I'm going ASU.
Okay, you are going ASU on that. All right.
I feel like they're going to have a magical season here, so I don't know.
Yeah. I was just interrupting you for the weather and how Utah was, just so you didn't pick Utah is what I was going at there. So I'm actually going Arizona State with the upset here as well, just because I don't know how ASU is going to do on the road. I am going to be a homer here, but like I said, Utah schedule has been deceiving so far, and the winner of this one is in the driver's seat for the Pac-12. I just think Herm Edwards is going to have the team ready. So we'll see. So then we got, unfortunately, Jason, we have to talk about this, and I'll let you go first because I know how you're going to be excited for this game. Number one,
Saturday of October, baby.
Number 1 Alabama at home against Tennessee Volunteers. I was trying to think of something cool to say, and I couldn't.
Just, call it is, man. This is the big rivalry, the 3rd Saturday of October.
Yep.
Every October, it's Alabama and their Crimson Tide against the beautiful orange of the Tennessee Volunteers. And, gosh, I feel bad that this is the game that got knocked off of CBS to go to ESPN. Like, why is this game on ESPN? Well, just why? Can they put Alabama on the SEC network?
That's just you covering because Tennessee's going to lose by 8 touchdowns?
Like they should put this game on like ESPNU, SEC Network. I don't know. Put this game on the Pac-12 Network, not the ASU.
They should.
It's like, this is going to be terrible. Bama's going to crush them. No hope is being held out. That's what you're wondering.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Only reason we're discussing this game is because it's your Tennessee Volunteers. So, Adam, go ahead. Upset or not?
There is no way. There's Roll Tide and Roll Tide and Roll Tide.
Consensus taken. So next we're going to go back to the Pac-12 now and do the 5-1, number 12 ranked Oregon Ducks versus the number 25 ranked Washington Huskies, who are 5-2, which is shocking because they have 2 bad losses this year. What do you say here, Adam?
Give me them Ducks.
Adam's going Ducks.
Yeah, I think you have to go with the Oregon Ducks here at this point. I mean, the Pac-12 right now, you still don't know what anybody has. I mean, we're talking about the big game being ASU and Utah, but they're ranked behind Oregon. And what does Oregon have? I mean, it looks like they have something a little bit better than what the Huskies have, so I'm going Oregon. Yeah,
I'm going to go with Oregon on this one as well, just because Washington is that one team that's just up and down. Everybody had high hopes for them, and they've just disappointed twice. And I think Oregon's in the catbird seat, per se, or duckbird seat in that North Division, and they should win that division now going forward. Well, we'll see. Next up, we got the 5-1, 16th ranked Michigan. Guys, how surprising is it that Michigan, with all their bad, that Wisconsin loss was horrible, but they're 5-1. I'm just shocked by that. So.
Well, they should have lost about 2 of those other games.
I think that's why it's so shocking, is you think they lost a couple
Harbaugh's
more.
Been lucky.
So we have go ahead, Jason.
What?
I said, go ahead.
Oh, well, the fans that are in Michigan, they would definitely feel like they're 1-5 right now with the way they've been playing. So who are they playing this year?
They are at Penn State. Of course, the 6-0, ranked number 7, Penn State Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I have no faith in Jim Harbaugh and his khakis, so Penn State all day.
What do you say, Adam?
I'm going with Penn State.
Penn State also. You know what? I'm going Penn State also, but the main reason I'm going, because this is the game where I could see Jim Harbaugh winning this game, but Michigan just can't score, and Penn State looks so tough right now. So, and then I'm including this game just because South Carolina knocked off number 3 Georgia last week. So we're gonna go ahead and pick the 6-1, number 9 ranked Florida Gators at the 3-3 South Carolina Gamecocks. Tell us how much you like the Cox in this one, Jason.
Oh, I love Cox all day, every day. But no,
Mark
I like
it.
the Gators to get this one. The Gators are going to swallow up those Cox.
Jeez. Adam, what says you on this one?
Never go against the Gator against the Cock.
Right. South Carolina is on a high from knocking off Georgia last week. But I agree. Unfortunately, I'd love to pick them, but 2 upsets in a row are very hard to do. So we're going to go Florida on this one. Any other college football news you want to bring up here, Jason?
No, I think that's about all I got.
We're not going to talk about Chicago's Big Ten team?
We are not going to talk about them playing the number, 3, Ohio State Buckeyes?
The Ohio State University,
Yeah,
but against the Chicago Big Ten team.
That's
Pat Fitzgerald will tell you, go Cats.
That is the only reason. That's equivalent to Alabama, Tennessee at Alabama this week. But since you're late to the game, we're not going to talk about Northwestern this week on this blowout. We already have one blowout on here.
All right, fine. Be that way, guys. I'm
He's
just
traumatized, Jason. He's traumatized.
Anyone want to give me 28 and a half?
Well, we just don't talk Wildcats on this podcast, so yeah, that's why.
I root for them when they're actually winning and their coach isn't complaining about cell phones at dinner tables. So we're going to move over to the NFL now. Of course, last night we had we're recording this on a Friday. We did have the Chiefs at the Broncos last night, and Jason and I knew beforehand, and Adam, that we all had the Chiefs last night.
Definitely.
On that one. So good job, guys. But how do you can't believe they won so well with Matt Moore as the quarterback there for most of it.
But
you do not talk bad about Matt Moore. He looked great last night. The news just came down. Mahomes is going to be cleared in about 3 weeks. That defense stepped it up, so we'll see what they have for him going forward. I feel like 1 and 2 here, you feeling pretty good, right?
Oh, absolutely. Plus, they were playing the Broncos, guys. Let's not get overexcited. They were playing the Broncos, so. And they just came off, Chiefs just came off a loss, so, all that. So we'll see moving forward here on what goes. Last night, so going into this Sunday, Rams at Falcons. Who do you have in this one, Adam?
I'm going with the Falcons in this one.
Wow.
I just have not liked what I've seen out of the Rams this year.
And Gurley's out. Gurley is ruled out already. Jason, what do you got?
even though Gurley's out in this one, they just got Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey is going to play this week. This Falcons team is done. They're toast. Stick a fork in them. They quit. Give me the Rams to bounce back huge this week.
I'm not sold on the Falcons have quit because, as you guys will hear if you listen to the Cardinals Rewind other podcast, that the Falcons came back in the third and fourth quarter last week, had fight to them. I think they still have fight. They're just not a good team right now. The Rams aren't a good team either. However, I think the Rams will win this one because I agree the Falcons are just garbage right now. And I'm interested in seeing adversity for McVay and this team is the first time it's hit. So let's see. So I got the Rams also. Next up, the Dolphins at the Bills. What do you got, Jason?
I got the Bills here. The 17-point spread is what this game is. Like, the Bills are looking better this year, but they're still the Buffalo Bills. And with that being said, the Dolphins are still the Dolphins. They're just in Lonelyville right now. So, yeah, I got the Bills winning this one.
Yeah, they said they were going to – Dolphins said they were going to stick with Rosen as their quarterback for the rest of the season, and they benched him and went Fitzpatrick. Right. So that tells you the – go ahead. That tells you the state of the Dolphins, right? So I had the Bills. Yeah, I had the Bills in this game also. Adam?
I have the Bills too. I mean, the Dolphins are just terrible.
Right, and then when you're switching back and forth on quarterbacks, it's just god awful. Makes it even worse. Then you got the Jaguars at the Bengals. Of course, without Jalen Ramsey, the Jaguars. But you know who they do have? Minshew. What do you got, Jason?
Minshew mania is still a thing, and the Bengals, they're still not a thing. So give me the Jaguars on this one.
Right. What do you got, Adam?
You know, this is a toss-up for me. Bengals being at home, go ahead and give me the Bengals.
Dang. I don't even think the Bengals think they're going to win this one, Adam.
Well, hey, I got faith in Andy.
I have the Jaguars as well. I think with Jalen Ramsey's controversy, everything out of the way, but more importantly, Bengals are awful. So,
no. The Jaguars got their Super Bowl tickets booked?
No, I didn't say that.
So I'm just saying.
But the Bengals,
any given Sunday,
the Bengals have their 0-16 booked, though. Them and the Dolphins. So next up, we got Vikings at Lions. Lions, of course, coming off a heart-wrenching loss on Monday Night Football. A lot of people attribute it to the officials. What do you got, Jason?
I actually like the Lions in this one at home. I mean, Vikings finally put it all together last week and looked good for one solid week. But Kirk Cousins has always been hot and cold in his career. So I think the Lions actually pull this one out. I still think they're a pretty good team.
I would agree with you on that, except for the fact that Kirk Cousins, I'm hoping, can put 2 weeks together like he did last week. So I'm actually going with the Vikings.
Well, did you pick him up with your fantasy team?
Yeah.
Can I go for a tie here, or is that a lot?
No ties.
No ties here. All right, I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. I am not a believer in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Detroit either. Like, even the season goes, I just feel like they're going to end up being 8-8 somehow, even though they started pretty hot. But all right, so now we got Raiders at the Packers. Jason?
I like how you say it. Raiders at the Packers. You're drawing them out there. This game, I mean, 5.5 point spread. I think the Raiders cover that spread definitely this weekend for some odd reason or another. I like Green Bay winning at home. This is still their easy part of the schedule where it's all home games all the time at Lambeau. And still favorable weather for these out-of-town teams. But Aaron Rodgers, he just continues to prove why he's Aaron Rodgers. So I got them beating the Raiders.
If this was a home game for the Raiders, I would actually pick them in this one because with all the problems in Kansas City, I think they're extra motivated right now because they can see this division is reachable. But being at home, the Packers, the referees, you just can't go against the Packers right now. What it says you, Adam?
I say I don't want neither one of you to with me at all, and I think that you're going to have the Raiders taking care of business.
We got a Raiders. Are you going against us on a lot of stuff just because you want to be difficult or what?
No, I just think you guys are wrong. WRONG.
Next up, we got a good game here with the Texans at the Colts. What do you got, Jason?
I like the Texans in this one. They came out last week to shut the Watson versus Patrick Mahomes. They beat the Chiefs. They put up a 50-burger a few weeks ago. This Texans team is looking pretty good, man, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see them fight for the AFC title.
Dang. What says you, Adam?
I'm going to go with the Texans on this one also, for the same reason Jason is there.
You know, I still thought, even with Andrew Luck retiring, that the Colts are going to win that division. But you're right, Jason. Those Texans have looked so good the last 2 weeks. That offense is rocking and rolling. You've got to outscore them to win, and I just don't see the Colts doing it. So we all have the Texans.
Your boy Bill O'Brien going to get an extension this year.
Oh, God, don't get me started on that subject. Oh, my God. Next up, we got at New York, the New York Football Giants are at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are kicking off at 10 a.m. Of course, we reviewed this on the Cardinals Rewind that I did this week. You can watch that and listen to that, obviously, on another side. Jason, you were unable to make that this week, so who do you have in this game?
I'm going to take the Cardinals to get this win here over Danny Dimes. I can't believe Daniel Jones already has a nickname.
Right? I know it's because he's in New York. What do you got on this one, Adam? Oh.
You know, I'm gonna try and get behind the local teams here, and I'm gonna go Cards on this one.
Adam's going Cardinals.
I'm jumping
also
on the bandwagon. So at 10 o'clock, I'll have a Cardinals shirt on, and then at 1 o'clock, I'll have my Bears jersey.
There you go, right there. So I'm going with the Cardinals also this weekend. I am a little worried about this 10 a.m. kickoff. This is going to be the first time that Golden Tate, Sterling, and all the offensive weapons are going to be on the field for the first time for the Giants at one time. Be with Saquon, all that. 4 guys, brand new, haven't played together all year. I think they're going to struggle a little bit. I think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense is just spectacular right now. So I agree. Cardinals are going to win this game and overcome that 10 a.m. kickoff. Next up, you've got the surprising, undefeated 49ers at the Washington Redskins. What say you, Jason?
Redskins suck. Niners are undefeated. Give me the Niners.
You, Adam?
I'm staying right along with Jimmy Garoppolo on this one and taking the Niners.
Yeah, I don't. You know, the Redskins are god-awful. If the Niners don't win this for their first loss, then we'd all be shocked. So go Niners. Next up, the Chargers, who are seriously injured. I saw their injury list on who's out this week, and it's basically half their team. At the Titans, who benched Marcus Mariota this week for Ryan Tannehill. What do you got, Jason?
I think the Titans are going to come out fighting this week. I mean, like I said, the Chargers are hurting. Right now is a good time to bounce off the Chargers. Going to have their third-string center in the game this week, so expect big things out of Tennessee.
What do you say, Adam?
As long as Cody Parkey is on a team, I will never pick that team, so I'm going with the Chargers.
Chargers. And I'm going with the Titans also. I think Ryan Tannehill's got something to prove. He can win this team over and get a starting job for the rest of the season. So I think the Titans are going to come out fighting, and the Titans are going to win this game. Next up, Adam's biggest interest is the New Orleans Saints with Teddy Bridgewater versus the Bears with Trubisky is back practicing. Have they announced he's playing yet?
He will be playing, announced this morning on the show this morning.
Is that good or bad?
That is good.
All right.
Guess who's back? Mitch is back. Tell a friend.
So we'll go with Adam on this first. Adam, who do you got?
I got the Bears.
Shocker there. Jason, with Mitchell Trubisky being back, who do you got?
Before I even knew Mitch was coming back, I like the Bears in this matchup, so I'm going to stick with it.
You know, I've been riding the Saints bandwagon. I've been telling you guys, Teddy Bridgewater is not a backup quarterback. He deserves to start in this league. He's going to pull out one more victory on this, getting ready for Drew Brees to come back now that he's practicing. I think the Saints are going to continue their winning ways, and people are going to start continuing about how bad Mitchell Trubisky is in Chicagoland. Last game for the daytime here on Sunday, we have Ravens at the Seahawks. This was my hardest game to pick this week. What say you, Adam?
I'm going to go with the Seahawks. They're at home, and I had liked their offense still.
Who do you got on this one, Jason?
I like the Ravens getting the win on the road.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Seahawks, they are what they are. They're winning. They're not spectacular. And I just think that it's a bad matchup for that defense against the Ravens. I agree. I think the Ravens are going to sneak this one out on the road. I wouldn't be shocked if the Seahawks don't win, but I just think the Ravens are going to do it. Sunday Night Football, we have the Eagles at the Cowboys. Jason's team, who do you got?
I will take the Dallas Cowboys to win this one and right the ship. Dak Prescott, he has pretty much owned Carson Wentz the last couple of years, so yeah.
Adam, what do you got?
I'm going with the Eagles and Wentz. I think that it's going to be another Cowboy debacle.
Yeah, Cowboys are in meltdown mode. Last week was the week that they could have righted the ship, and they laid an egg against Sam Darnold, mono, a messed up liver, everything else that's wrong with Sam Darnold in there. I agree. Cowboys are free-falling. Jerry Jones is out telling everybody that it's not his coach's fault on why they're not playing. Players aren't high-fiving him anymore. Eagles are winning this game and righting their ship, and Cowboys are going to continue their free fall. Monday Night Football, Patriots at Jets. Do the Jets have another upset, Adam?
Jet. No. Give me the Patriots.
Who do you got, Jason?
I got the Patriots in this one. The Jets might keep it close, but Patriots are winning.
I agree. This is a bad matchup for the Jets, even though they're at home. Sam Darnold is coming back, but they're going to have a falter here before they go on their winning streak, I think, going future. So that's what we got for this week on our picks. Jason, hopefully you do a little bit better because I didn't talk about that. Last week you went 6-8. You've had 3 bad weeks in a row on your NFL picks.
Yeah, I've been good here lately.
Yeah, and I went 9-5. So I'm 60-31 on the year, and you are 50-41. You're above 500 again after a couple bad weeks, but still, yeah. Hopefully this week you can turn it around a little bit, and I hope so because you and I have a lot of games together. So. We're both either having a good week or we're having a really bad week. So,
Exactly.
All right, Jason. Thanks for chiming in for the picks, man. Have a good rest of the day, and we'll talk to you later.
Yep, anytime, guys.
So there we got Jason Carter phoning in. He's off having fun out in the world this week. Phoning in for the picks. Adam, put a bow on this bad boy right here.
Man, all I can say, it's been great to be back in the chair here, being on the main event pod and getting to do some extended time. I saw Steve go off on a nice little tangent. Had to calm him down with a little woosah, and
that wasn't a tangent. That was the subject.
Like I said in our picks and stuff. Go Bears, go Cardinals, and
right.
Thanks for letting me fill in, Jason. Appreciate
no problem.
it.
How do people get in touch with you if they'd like to?
You get in touch with me still at AdamMichaels05 on Twitter.
And, of course, I'll do Jason Carter, JasonCarter03 on Twitter. And, of course, Steve McCollum, am at SMAC500 on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Get with us here. We do have do tweet out during the games, all that good stuff. And until next week, we will see you then.